Hey readers, yesterday we started talking about our reading logs in the new year and how we're going to continue tracking 20 minutes daily of our reading. However, as we are growing as readers, it's not important just to write 20 minutes over and over each day to record our reading, but what's becoming really important as we grow is how we demonstrate our thinking about our reading. We talked yesterday that the best way we can demonstrate our thinking is by writing about reading. So we looked at some posters to talk about the qualities of strong writing about reading. Today I'm going to read a piece of this story, Alexander and the Wind-Up Mouse by Leo Lionni, and I'm going to try a reading response. So I'll take you through a couple of options and then I'm going to choose one that I think is best fit to demonstrate my own thinking. So let's start by taking a look at the story here. I'm only going to read the second half. So in the beginning of the story, what happens is we meet a mouse named Alexander, and he's noticing that the people he lives with are really afraid of him. Every time he comes out just to grab food, they end up chasing him away with a broom. But then he meets a wind-up mouse, and he notices that they're not afraid of him because he's a toy. So he goes on a mission to try to become a wind-up mouse, just like the one that he's met. So the wind-up mouse tells him that there's a magic lizard who will change him if only he brings him a purple pebble. So I'm going to start from there. For days and days, Alexander searched the garden for a purple pebble. In vain, he found yellow pebbles and blue pebbles and green pebbles, but not one tiny purple pebble. At last, tired and hungry, he returned to the house. In a corner of the pantry, he saw a box full of old toys, and there, between blocks and broken dolls, was Willie. "What happened?" said Alexander, surprised. Willie told him a sad story. It had been Annie's birthday. There had been a party, and everyone had brought a gift. The next day, Willie sighed, many of the old toys were dumped in this box. We will all be thrown away. Alexander was almost in tears. Poor Willie, he thought. But then suddenly something caught his eye. Could it really be? Yes, it was. It was a little purple pebble. All excited, he ran to the garden, the precious pebble tight in his arms. There was a full moon. Out of breath, Alexander stopped near the blackberry bush. "Lizard, lizard, in the bush," he called quickly. The leaves rustled, and there stood the lizard. "The moon is round, the pebble found," said the lizard. "Who or what do you wish to be?" "I want to be—" Alexander stopped. Then suddenly he said, "Lizard, lizard, could you change Willie into a mouse like me?" The lizard blinked. There was a blinding light, and then all was quiet. The purple pebble was gone. Alexander ran back to the house as fast as he could. There was a box there, but alas, it was empty. Too late, he thought, and with a heavy heart he went to his hole in the baseboard. Something squeaked. Cautiously, Alexander moved closer to the hole. There was a mouse inside. "Who are you?" said Alexander, a little frightened. "My name is Willie," said the mouse. "Willie!" cried Alexander. The lizard did it!" He hugged Willie, and then they ran to the garden path, and there they danced until dawn. So I've just finished reading a story, so what I need to do next is demonstrate my thinking, because it's not just about starting and finishing a book. So here are some options that you could work through in a reading response. You could talk about some evidence from the text. This one says, give your opinion or observation about the character and an event, and then you can go on to support that with evidence. So we saw a reading response similar to that yesterday, where she stated an opinion about the relationship between two characters, and then she supported it with details using some evidence, and she did that in a paragraph form. You could also do this reading response. Describe a connection you made to the character. Use details from the text and your own experience to support your answer. So this could be bullets, or it could be a paragraph form where you find something that you have in common or that you relate to with your character. This one says character analysis, where this is similar to the web that we saw yesterday as a reading response. You can describe the character, talk about a major challenge that they go through, talk about how they respond to that challenge, and how the character changes over time. So that sounds a lot like what we did at the beginning of the year, tracking our characters and their progression throughout the story. This one is the web we saw yesterday, where you can name the character and start describing different character traits. Not emotions, but words that describe the character throughout the entire book. So I'm going to show you my reading response here. So I've got Alexander and the Wind-Up Mouse. So in my notebook, I'm going to put today's date at the top. I'm also going to put the title of the book I'm reading. I think I'm going to talk about the character and the event that they went through, and a little bit about the lesson learned. So Alexander was a real mouse who wanted to become a toy. He learned a lesson in this book because he saw a toy on the verge of being thrown out. Alexander learned that being a real mouse isn't so bad, and it is better to just be yourself. So I'm showing my thinking by talking about the lesson that I think my character learned through the events of the story. Today, you're going to be showing me a reading response as well. So in your reading notebook, as you're reading today, I want to know, what does your reading make you think about? What do you want to share about your reading today? So you can choose one of our options here, or you could do a free write about your story, anything that you're thinking. So we have our character web, character analysis, description of a connection you've made to the character, or giving your opinion. You can also do a free write. Your notebooks will be collected today, so make sure you have a response for your reading. Happy reading!